All right, hear me out on this. After riding dozens of performance road bikes, I've come to the conclusion that there is inevitably a trade-off when it comes to performance. See, as performance increases, ride quality seems to decrease, becoming more stiff, more twitchy, less manageable, and really less fun to ride, especially over longer distances. The builds become more complex in hopes of achieving these like ultra aero gains, leaving any novice mechanic with no other choice than to take their bikes into the shop for even the slightest adjustments and repairs. Why can't there be a bike that mixes performance without a decline in ride quality and an increase in complexity? Surely there's a solution, an intersection of speed, performance, and simplicity without a trade-off in ride quality. And if you were to pose this question to the folks at Allied, they'd say that the solution is their new Alpha road bike. Allied was kind enough to loan me an Alpha for review to see if it lives up to the hype. And I'll tell you that in a sea of performance bikes, the Alpha stands out, but maybe not for the reasons you might think. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, well, welcome. I'm Chris, and I consider myself an everyday athlete. I ride around 8,500 miles a year into the occasional 200-mile race, and I don't get paid to ride a bike. But much like you, I love smashing the pedals before my kids go to school, on the weekends, and in between work, life, and family commitments. And this isn't a paid review or an advertisement. Allied doesn't have any say in this video, and they'll see it at the same time that you do. From the coast of California to the mountains of southern Utah, I've logged a few hundred miles on the new Alpha, enough time to figure out its quirks, features, and performance advantages. At first glance, you'll see more traditional lines with the Alpha, especially from the side. The fork blades seem to hug the tire and wheel just right, keeping a slim profile from the base of the stem down. It has a noticeably narrow and tall but clean, read non-bulging, head tube that looks like it'll slice through the wind. And since this isn't my personal bike, I didn't cut the steer tube, but had it been my bike, you can guarantee that I would have cut the steer tube and slammed the stem, and I think it would have looked that much better. Both the down tube and top tube profile remain narrow until they reach the bottom bracket and seat tube respectively. Here you'll notice that the seat stays are more traditional, rising to the top tube almost as if they're an extension of the top tube as they move down to the chainstays. And while some say that you can't see aero, if you turn the bike 90 degrees, you'll get a sense of the Alpha's slim profile, especially when paired with the K-Edge out front mount. Oh, and you'll notice that there are no exposed cables. See, they're hidden neatly inside the stem with access on top. And aesthetically, it's almost the perfect blend of modern and classic styling, especially when equipped with the clean look of the new SRAM Force. This build is a full SRAM Force build with 48/35 chainrings, 172.5mm crank arms, and a 10/36 cassette. The wheels are the new Zip 303 Firecrest with 30mm Vittoria Corsa Pro tubeless tires. It's a killer combo. The stem is the Allied integrated stem at 120mm with 40cm black ink carbon road bars laced with Arundel Gecko tape. It's super grippy. And I have to say, I really like the shape of these bars. It's just the right amount of flat on top for resting your hands on climbs. The saddle is the Cellitalia XL3, and I paired it with the Arundel cages and Shimano Ultegra pedals. It's built with simplicity in mind, with a 68mm English threaded bottom bracket, Chris King headset, jigsaw puzzle piece spacers, and Cerakote in the high use or high wear areas. The build as you see it here comes in at 17.25 pounds or 7.8 kilograms, with the frame coming in at 820 grams and a size 56. If you opted for the top end red build, you'd be looking at something right around 16.5 pounds or 7.5 kilos. Not much different from similarly spec'd high performance road bikes that I've ridden in the past. And if you check the geometry against your favorite performance road bike or some of the best rated bikes in the industry, you're likely to find that the Alpha's geometry and profile are very similar. It's aggressive in just the right places. What's different about the Allied Alpha though is that when you buy an Allied bike, you can go to Bentonville, Arkansas and shake hands with just about every single person who's building your bike. From the girl laying and cutting the standard and intermediate carbon to the guys sanding and painting your frame. It's a unique experience to be so hands-on with the build, and I love that they're so transparent about their process. Maybe because I'm American and there's a sense of pride and quality in bikes that are made here, but meeting with them really makes you feel like you're getting that extra little bit of love in your build. If you ever find yourself in Bentonville, Arkansas, do yourself a favor and take a tour of Allied's facility. It's really cool to see the process. And while you're at it, see if you can't get a demo bike and maybe ride some of the trails that are in the area and finish off with some Wright's barbecue for dinner. I promise you'll love it. What you'll also love is the performance of the Alpha. And I'll cut right to it. I mean, this bike rips. It climbs well, it descends well, it's snappy out of the saddle, it's well-mannered. Check, check, check. It does everything that you'd expect a bike at this price point to do. And this particular build is spec'd to match the performance of the frame. The Zip 303 Firecrest wheels spin up quickly and are impressively composed at high speeds. At 55 to 60 PSI, the 30mm tubeless Vittorio Corsa Pros offer what I would consider like a best-in-class ride quality. They're comfortable, they grip really well, and they just are an all-around good performer. They're a tire that I've grown to love this year. The Alpha has clearance for up to 32mm tires, which I think is plenty for a performance road bike. And the new SRAM Force is a welcomed upgrade to the outgoing model. Not only is it more aesthetically pleasing, just take one look at the hoods, but the shifting feels improved, especially the front shifting, which I've been very, very critical of. And on that note, I've had a handful of conversations recently about old SRAM Red versus new SRAM Force. If you're interested in a video about that, do me a favor and drop a comment below and I'll see if I can't put something together. If you're looking at the full spectrum of bikes, I'd say that the Alpha lands squarely in the performance category. You could say it leans more aero bike with the sleek profile and the performance geometry, but the way it rides is not like other performance bikes that I've ridden. The handling is, I'd say, confidence inspiring. It slightly kind of moves the rider away from that razor sharp, like often twitchy handling and into a more comfortable, manageable place, or as Allied calls it, balanced. What's also a little bit more manageable is Allied's pricing. At the time of this recording, the top tier Dura Ace and Red builds start at $10,250 and $7,750 for the Ultegra and Force builds. On Allied's website, you can mix and match different components on the bike to get it just how you wanted. The test bike that Allied sent me features the Harlequin purple to green paint. I think that's a $500 upgrade, and I want to say that the Zip 303 Firecrests are another $750, which would put this build, as you see it here, at $9,000. If I were building one for myself, I'd probably opt for the matte black Dura Ace or Red build. And I know what you're thinking, matte black, boring, but look, I just love a simple black bike. And while $10,000 for a road bike is no insignificant amount of money, it's $3,000 to $4,000 less than competitors for a bike that's built here in America. That's awesome. And if it's not obvious, there's a lot to love about the Alpha. Maybe it isn't the lightest frame on the market and doesn't have the all-out super speed of the dedicated performance at all costs race bikes, but it's dang close, and the superb ride quality and simplicity in the build more than balances the scales. I can't emphasize the ride quality enough with the Alpha. It's exceptional. The way that it absorbs and dampens the road chatter is unlike any other carbon bike that I've ridden. In many ways, it reminds me of the titanium road bike that I've been riding off and on for the last month. But bury it into a corner or hop out of the saddle, and you're met with that snappy feeling of exhilaration and excitement. In a sea of big brand mass-produced performance bikes, the Allied Alpha hangs with the best. And furthermore, it's easy to live with day in and day out. It's the bike that you want to bring with you because it's just easy to work on, and you can take it to any shop if you need to, and it doesn't require a bunch of proprietary tools and knowledge. Huge thanks to Allied for letting me tour their facility and for letting me demo the Alpha. I was pretty bummed to send it back. If you have any questions about the Alpha or anything else that I've talked about in this video, do me a favor and drop a comment below. And until next time.